we are not using the new tool. We are not using the new tool chain for release 2, right?
That's right. Yeah. So it's a SIG release meeting. Just started recording on January 8th, 23. Sorry, 24. I'm still in 23. It's a yeah, Timo, you're right. For the R2 documentation, we decided we will continue to do with what we're doing, but in the background, Gargali and his team would be taking that and putting that in the new format. And then by R3 timeframe, we would be completely ready to consume and produce the documentation in the new format.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. But it's a pertinent question that you raised. I will also go through that email, and if needed, probably will bring it to the notice of TSC to facilitate the redirection of the documentation.
Yep.
Yeah. So like I said, I'm coming to this meeting slightly cold. In the last week, I was a couple of days I was away. So Tal, Wim, anything from the release perspective, other than the TSC meeting that you shared, Wim, is there anything else that you would like to share here?
So first, so one of the things, I just put it in the agenda actually, so I was a bit late, but so I fixed a bug on Friday.
Okay.
Actually shows that we never do end-to-end tests.
Okay.
Because that bug actually showed that it could never have worked at all.
Could you elaborate on that when you say
So basically this bug was so we did, I think, Fiacra, you were on is Fiacra on the call? Yeah, so we did some changes in the way that we add packages to the in the bootstrapping of the system. So there were some changes to make it more independent of config sync and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then so one of the things, so Sagar tested his goal with Joseph and stuff like that, so that works, but he never used the latest image. He used the latest image at some point, but it didn't work, right? And then I asked him last week, can you repeat and see and let us know the issue that you saw? So he sent us some information. So I then was debugging it, and then I fixed it, but it also told me that that fix would never have worked, which means that from the moment that is in, which is basically more than 2.5 months, we haven't really done any end-to-end test with the latest commits.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
So for me, the point is not, it's basically what I was under the impression that we were going to start running end-to-end tests upon merges and stuff like that, but I have the feeling this is not really in place. Or I'm sure this is not in place because otherwise this would have been found.
All right. Yeah. Yes. I see.
So,
okay.
Wim, how bad is this? Do you see a lot of errors in end-to-end testing if you run them manually?
No, so basically the end-to-end test would never have come up, basically. So what you see is that actually this never, so even test number 1 would not work.
I see. So even if you try to run it manually, it fails.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So what did you actually fix? You just fixed the fact that they would run?
No, so the fix was, so there was a change in the code, right? And that's so what we do is we have to find the secret, right, based on some tags, right? And that code was broken with the change. So I fixed that. So that so what happened basically is that the code that was that had to be set up, like configuring config sync and adding the secrets on the workload cluster, that part of the code was broken. So that means that when you deploy a workload cluster never comes up.
Yeah. So This seems very major and probably involves numerous bugs. Yeah.
No, it was one bug. Actually, it was one fix, but the result is that actually nothing worked anymore.
Okay.
There are two things. One is we were. Is it different? Just to elaborate, is this different from versioning of the packages and using the right package for testing, or is it the same thing?
So I think so my understanding is latest is is going to become our new R2 at the end of the day, right? So the main at the moment is our, let's say, release targets that is going to become R2, right? So
yeah.
So that means that I think at some point we were discussing that our end-to-end test run we're going to run upon merges, right? I don't know whether I thought at every merge was my understanding. I'm not sure whether that's correct, but and the reason why that is important is because we are, first of all, multi-repo. Second is what you do see is that unit tests work, but the changes that we are doing, so like we did a number of changes that are that you will probably be only see at the moment unless we write additional integration tests when you put it all together. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a few of those, by the way, in the meantime, in that latest build. So as a result, I think today the only thing that would catch these is either someone manually executes it by putting together all the images, all the latest images, or my understanding was that our end-to-end would run, and that would also have catched it. But given this was not catched, I made the assumption, or I made the reflection that we probably don't run the end-to-end tests.
True. I mean, there was a talk, and then Rado had put in some work. I'm not sure whether he had merged it yet to run the end-to-end test upon every commits.
Well,
I mean, merge. I'm not sure.
Maybe I can also add some information here.
Yeah.
So we have also periodic jobs in the test infra, which is trying to target to test all the master or the main changes. But yeah, no one is paying attention to those failures. Like as Win said, for now the end-to-end is just the on-demand execution is only when someone submits a change on the test infra project. But if there is a change in the latest repos, or like the packages are that particular thing is not captured, only is trying to capture something when running the periodic jobs. But yeah, and no one is paying attention to those errors or like trying to fix them. But even in that case, given that we are targeting to the what's the name of the project? Nephew example repos packages. So if we have a new image in any of the projects, so the thing that we have to do, we have to replicate those changes in that repository as well. So it's not just building the new image; it's just also propagating those changes to the different projects to see that particular testing.
Yeah, so I think what I'm trying to raise or is a little bit the issue that I raised before the end of the year, right, where I listed all these dependencies that have to be coming together in order to make this release a release at the end of the day. And given that we are multi-repo, so like Victor was saying, we have example packages, right? We have the latest changes. We have API is not a problem, I think, but so then we have OAI. So there is a bunch of repos that have to be put together, and they all have to be tested together to be able to do a release. I do know that John did a lot of this work during R1, right? So when we were doing, and at the end, John was actually pulling this all together all the time, right? When we have a fix into the example packages, he was retagging it and stuff like that. And I have the feeling that unless, I don't know whether it's one person or whether how, we have to organize ourselves around this. Otherwise, we will not make this release either.
Yeah. Hey, Wim, give me just a couple of minutes. I'll be back.
Yes, yeah. And I don't know how so the question is, how do we organize ourselves around this? Because this is actually, it's a lot of work actually. And we should not underestimate this.
Yeah, this is why I hinted that this might be our top priority right now, because exactly that, I don't think we can make a release without that confidence.
Yeah.
Did Bala step away?
Yeah, I think he said he will come back. Yeah, so he.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah.
Well, meantime, I'll update everybody that I've really cleaned up the Nefio project.org. We moved so many repositories to Nefio Experimental. And I'm working there on just like updating the READMEs with our preamble for our rule, but I really like it. You go to Nefio project right now on GitHub and you only see really the code that we work on. So that's very nice. Another thing that I'm looking at right now, so Stephen, as you know, we're merging, well, we agreed to accept the pull request from Samsung for the Helm translator. And I reviewed the pull request. There's actually a lot to say for it, but for now, it seems the main problem with the pull request is it just puts all the code in the main directory for Nefio SDK. So I think that's obviously wrong. I don't know what was discussed, but at the very least, we would want subdirectories because Nefio SDK is not only that code, right? It will have a lot of different areas.
Yeah, correct.
So I left a comment to the person involved in it, and hopefully that could be moved because I know they really wanted it merged for R2. But in addition to this change, I actually have a lot of code suggestions. So we'll see how much they'll be able to do before R2.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's not like a priority for release 2, obviously, so.
Yes, it is a priority, it seems, for Samsung. They've been very adamant about getting it in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks all for doing that. It was it's actually nice. Yeah, it's actually thanks. It was. I agree with you that it actually helps a lot in making the whole thing more. It's clear what we do and what we don't. Right? So from that point of view, actually,
yeah,
the experimental is actually not. I was in the beginning a bit against, but it turns out to be a good thing. I think at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, so just to notice, when you look at it right now, it's actually kind of almost strange because we have more repositories and possibly more code in Nefio Experimental than a Nefio project. But I think that's absolutely okay. This is exactly how open source works, right? You create a lot of experiments and POCs, and whatever is meritocratically accepted by the community and consensus gets into the main distribution. I think this is fine. You know, I think it's much better than, in my opinion, and from my experience, open source projects, for example, ONAP perhaps, where everything gets accepted into the main, and it's very hard to understand what is a major component of the project and what's a more peripheral or possibly even an optional component, right?
No, I agree. It's actually a good approach in my view. Yeah. No, I think I don't know. See, back onto the other point that I was discussing is, somehow we have to organize ourselves a little bit because I have the feeling there is still a number of open issues. So for example, like some of the packages need to be updated to reflect some of the changes still, right? So in the example packages now, then there is actually two things. One is those need to be updated to reflect some changes. And the second thing is, ideally, we also want to move them to the catalog environment, because example packages should eventually also become obsolete, as far as I understand, right? So it should all go to the catalog itself. Now, these are not difficult tasks, but they are essential to make the release. So I was trying to get some people help us here, but I was not very successful. So it would be, I don't, my question is more, how would we organize ourselves around this to make that happen somehow? Because I have the feeling.
Sorry, go.
Okay. So for the packages, Wayne, what do you think about, well, only for the nephew packages, could we use the latest tag for the images? I mean, I'm just talking about the main branch. So in that case.
Yeah. So maybe let me list my issue that I raised, right? So some of the packages are not even example packages, they are free 5GCs. There is AMF, SMF, and UPF. We have to change, right? So let me go back to my issue that I raised at some point.
Actually, if you can share your screen.
Yeah, I will share my screen, but I'm digging up my where I sent. Wait, so it's actually in automation. Wait a minute. Where did I do it? But please continue. I will dig up the Slack issue.
Yeah, Wim, I'm back. Yeah, and I agree. I think just before we were discussing that we need to nail this together. So Wim and Tal, when I hope Rado said he's going to join this meeting slightly later. So can we have a meeting? Maybe we can make this a main topic for SIG automation, or we can have a special meeting tomorrow to discuss what all the things that we need to do, because we had to go to TSC on June 18th. Sorry, January 18th, right? So can we do that? Can we make it a main topic in the SIG automation, or can we have a special meeting between some of the stakeholders maybe tomorrow to figure out what all the things that we need to complete before we can have a smooth release in the final week of January?
So first question is anyone testing end-to-end free 5GC? That's my first question.
Do you mean with the latest changes or like?
Yes.
I have tested before, but I have to recognize that it's very flaky. You know, every time you run it, you see some issues. So it's pretty hard to get like a successful.
But in my view today, with the latest changes, they cannot even work, Victor, because these packages are not updated.
Okay.
So that's why I have the feeling it does. We are not. Let me put it this way. I think OAI run. I have the feeling this will come okay, because you actually have active participants driving it. Right, with Sagar, Joseph, yourself, Victor. Right. So there's a bunch of people driving this, and this will. I have the feeling this will come together somehow. Right. For free 5GC, I don't have the feeling that we have that same team in place. And as a result, I have the feeling that it will not, if we don't do anything, it will not materialize.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair or not?
No, it's completely fair.
So that's for me point number one. And as part of that effort, these 3 items need to be updated ASAP. Otherwise, this will not run. Or this at the moment it cannot work, I feel. Now this is not a big change, by the way, but someone should do it.
What's the change required there, Wim?
Is to reflect to the new CRDs, basically.
Wasn't it the same thing that Ronak was doing?
Yes, but Ronak did the changes inside of the so Ronak did the change on the code itself, so that's done. So that's merged. Okay. What is still, for example, this needs to be changed to NF deployment, right? It's not a big change. But for example, this unless you change this to NF deployment, this whole thing doesn't run. You also need to change the
besides that particular change, that code change, what we need to do is we have to bump a new tag image for that tag
also
change.
Also, but
reflect that.
yeah, first you need to do this change, right? To update it, and then you need to do a new tag as well, right? So these are the 2 changes that needs to happen. So one is the package needs to be updated, and then of course tagged with the proper information. But this is to be done, and yeah, so we need to have some people that either do that, right? I can do it myself, but this is actually good to get other people involved. That's why I didn't do it myself so far. But so this is something that has to be updated unless the free 5GC will not run anymore in R2.
So it's basically updating free5GC packages, right?
Yeah, so basically, it's these so basically these 3 packages need to be reflecting the new CRDs. And I think the second thing that needs to happen is someone should run these end-to-end tests with all these changes using the so basically the updates of these packages, then run all the scripts that we have with free5GC and see whether it all runs. And if there is an issue, we have to drive it. So we have to, like, basically what Sagar is doing and Joseph is doing for OAI, we need someone to do the same thing for free5GC, I believe.
Okay.
I don't know who or whether we have volunteers to do so, but that's going to be essential, I think.
Got it. Okay.
And I don't know how we get to that point. But it's, yeah. So this is actually good to get new people who want to onboard onto it, because it will actually help them to get it to understand and stuff like that. But
yeah, so it seems like, Wim, that Bala is correct. We should probably make this a priority for our SIG2 meeting.
Yeah.
And but we need a decision on Tuesday, right? Sorry, Wednesday. So if nobody else will do it, then maybe you or I will do it, just to make sure that it.
I can do the changes to the packages. This is not a big deal, right? But running the end-to-end test, I'm on the road again this week.
Oh.
I won't be able to do that.
Yeah.
But the changes here, I can easily. So for me, this would be like half an hour work or something like that. But at the moment, I decided not to do so, because otherwise I did too many things already. So it's a good opportunity for new people to step into, and I wanted to give people the opportunity to do so rather than doing it again.
Yeah. So I do have like a quick suggestion. If Sagar is already and others are already doing the same thing for OAI, they can try to run free5GC and at least report what the issues are. If they already have a complete environment for doing that, that should probably be easy. But anybody else can do it too, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, correct. So, but okay, so I think that's for me the one thing. And then I think this, in the meantime, has been put in place, other than, I think, Victor, what you were trying to say is tagging the packages then, right, with the latest changes. So
yeah, when a new tag, like maybe B1 or 2 or some number that we choose, but yeah.
Yeah, but there are some of these that need to get together. For example, so these are GitIA changes, right? So there is a number of them that we have to. I think I haven't looked at all the changes, but here Git username and stuff like that. So there is a few of those that need to be put together in the end-to-end frame. And this is all. So these are relevant for both OAI and Free5GC. These are only Free5GC. These are relevant for all the work.
I
Okay,
think some
so Nim, do you mind re-messaging that in the Slack? I know you can go and find, but or at least add it to pin that message or add it to the Slack again.
Pin to a channel?
Yeah.
Should I pin to automation?
Yeah,
Which-
that's fine. Yeah, cool.
Okay.
Thank you. That we can easily find that message now. Cool. So I was trying to figure out what are the things that we need to do. I found out 3 things at this point of time, basically updating Free5GC packages and tagging the packages and run end-to-end tests for Free5GC. So can we list all the other items that we need to do for the release? When I say all the other items,
My understanding then
we already
is
know
the-
to do OAI. We already know we need to do documentation, and we are making progress on that. In general, your concerns maybe being mainly the release blockers. Wim.
Yeah, so Free5GC you listed, so which for me is I think is Free5GC is 2 things. One is updating this and then updating and then running the end-to-end test.
Yeah.
Then there is I think OAI, in my view, should have covered all of these, but maybe we should double check with Sagar where he is at, right?
Okay.
We should double check these PRs just to make sure that we have them covered. And then I think it's documentation and release notes. That's my sense of the situation.
for those PR that you are pointing, I guess those are included. I guess at some time when we were merging those changes, I think John was moving the tag for the packages. That's why we haven't seen any error. But I can double check. The other change that we need is we need some OA changes in the catalog. I think Sagar submitted a PR.
Yeah, correct. I saw that.
So we need to merge that one in order to access to the CRDs. It's related with the CRDs.
Yeah, I was going to review that during today, but yeah, so this has to be merged. So we should ask Sagar what is left. I think I don't have the full picture, but that's definitely an important one. Yeah. For this one, the catalog.
Yeah.
Which one?
My thinking is okay. SIG automation meeting is Wednesday. By that time, if only end-to-end test and documentation is left, I think. So other than that, the good part is most of the code part is in, right? Both for the Free5GC and OAI. We are mainly talking about package modifications and the testing.
Yeah, it's putting it together basically, more or less, and testing it with all the latest changes. I think that's the thing. So this PR,
Yeah.
I think, is an important one.
So from a putting it together perspective, Wim, what other things that you see that we need to do? I'm asking mainly in terms of, do we need to have any specific? Obviously, we need to have a right tag, and then we need to release test with that tag, right?
Yeah, so yeah, once I think or at least that's what we did in R1, is that we ran end-to-end tests a little bit ourselves manually, right?
Yeah.
With a few people, and once we were comfortable with it, we tagged it. That's what we did. So then we tagged all the software with that version. So it should be, what is it? What did we use again? Was it 0? Which tag did we use?
P1.01.
Yeah, so first 00 and then 01, right? So we did,
Mhm.
yeah. So we should do, I think 200, right? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are the tags that we use. So yeah, so we should do this. And I don't know who is doing that tagging eventually.
At that time, was doing John, but I don't know
John
who
was
else
doing
has
all of that. That's why I said John did a lot of work of this work at the end of the day.
So if needed, probably we can also seek help from John for guidance. This. So is John gonna join our meeting, SIG automation meeting?
Maybe, but I would say we should not depend on him.
No, just for the.
Yeah, and generally, I think this particular issue is a SIG release issue. I don't mean to roll the ball, but I think this is something that at the end of the day, SIG release.
Yes, absolutely.
Sign,
I agree. Yes,
yeah.
absolutely. Yes.
It's pretty trivial. There are various scripts that can do it, or we could write our own script, or you can do it manually. They're really, right now, since we cleaned Nefio project of repos, there aren't that many repos there. So it should only take a few minutes to do this.
Yes, it is a SIG release issue. I was only trying to understand what are the things that he did that we potentially missed. That's the thing.
Sure.
I have a feeling that Rado may have automated this process already, but I need to discuss with him because last time I think Rado is already here. Rado.
Hi everyone, sorry for running late. Yeah, it is basically automated. The last two releases we've split work with John and did all these parts manually, but it's pretty much all scripted now. I just didn't push the code out yet. So when it comes to crafting the release, we're good. We don't need an external support, so to speak. Unless there are some, unforeseen changes, but other than, I guess, 2 repos added compared to previous one, it's pretty much all the same. There is also a wiki entry how to do it manually in case I've got hit by a bus or something. So we've also put out the documentation for it.
Awesome.
So one more thing, do we know what the tag number would be for this one, for R2?
200, I guess, right?
200. Okay, got it.
And just to confirm the dates, is it 18th?
18th is the date. We are 18th. Yes, before 18th we need to be comfortable with the release, and 18th we need to go to TSC saying that we want to release and we are ready with the release. That's the message TSC is expecting us to bring to them.
Oh, okay.
And then they want to. My understanding is they want to do the release end of January.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. So there was one other question from Vem during the beginning of this call, Rado, that I know you were working on a PR to run the end-to-end tests automatically. Are they in at all, the PR?
Sorry, it's not out yet. It was the end of the year break, and also I was pulled to some other stuff, but I will push it out shortly. I tried to finish this first part of this week.
Yeah, because he found something.
I found a bug. Rado is not. By the way, it's just a pro. I was under the impression that you were running it, but that bug told me we are not. But basically, there was a bug that broke the whole end-to-end test if you took the latest images. So I was wondering whether either we run them or we don't validate the results, right? Or we don't run them, right? So this could be the. So it's just a way to improve. It's not to blame someone, right? But it's more to improve because I think there's something that is essential going forward. I believe the more changes we are doing inside of the system.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a much needed system. Wim, I totally agree, especially with so many different parts. So one thing I wanted to to do with this, all this discussion is probably write up something that all the checklists, again, it is on SIG release, but we need some information, for example, like changing the package numbers, all the changes that we did for R2. I think probably we should document and how to put things together for a release. Probably we should follow it from the R3 onwards as well. Yeah, because otherwise something may slip through the cracks again.
And Bala, one thing that I like that Wim said is, it's not only doing the change, it's also sharing the knowledge. So I guess we can create like a kind of a task forces where we can address these particular things. One could be for like tagging or fixing to the latest, like tags and everything. The other thing could be like focusing on AI. So I think if we create like a 2 task forces, we can exchange ideas and knowledge, and that way we can prevent something in the future. So I don't know what you think about that, Leah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah.
I think so this is also because this time we changed the API a little bit. I think that's why I'm pretty sure we will change the APIs again. This will necessitate the same kind of changes as well. Yeah.
My view, Bala, is to make a release eventually is that task force or whatever what Victor calls is going to be essential to accomplish it, right? So let's say in release 3 we do, let's say, 5 projects, because now we only did in essence 2 projects in parallel, right? We did 3.5GC and we did let's say we do 5 of them. This becomes more and more complicated, right? So we need, I think, those teams that are at the end putting it together, right? First manually and then automated is going to be essential for us to sustain this project, right? Otherwise it will. So what I'm trying to do is we need to build that team. That assembling of that team is going to be important to put together by every release.
Yes. You need a kind of a integration release team.
Yeah, and you can probably subdivide that into the activities, right? So like we did right now for OEI and so on. Some of the changes are common, right? But some of the changes are specific. So probably I don't know. We have to see how the community thinks about it. But either it's one big team for everything, or you split it in subtasks or something like that. I don't know. I mean, we have to see, right? But I have the feeling that it's to make a release. That's also true with the regular development inside of our company. It's like you have the individual developers, right, which do their stuff, but eventually someone puts it together, right? And then you see that different things come together from different places, and that hasn't been exercised all the time, right? So that's the task that team would do. So okay, Tal raised his hand. Sorry, and I'll shut up.
Yeah, I kind of want to strengthen this. I think from the very beginning of Nefio, the idea of SIG release was, this is also development SIG, right? The point was to kind of separate the development work between SIG 2 and SIG 3. I think, the way things evolved and it made sense at the time that, a lot of the work was really done by SIG 2, and we called it owning the code. Right, but especially now that we also have SIG 4, right, who will be developing code and designs, I think it makes more sense to distribute some of these responsibilities, right? We're already kind of doing it, right? And a lot of us are on all SIGs, right? And we go to the meetings of all of them. But I think it could be useful to clarify some of the exact responsibilities at some point, to Wim's point, right? That development, but then release is really in charge of signing off and maybe doing some of the integration work, right? Again, in collaboration and everything, but Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah, I think the individual task force idea also is good. Victor suggested. I think we should do that, especially in the context of what Wim said, as we do multiple work streams in parallel in the subsequent releases. So for R2 at this point of time, I noted obviously the package changes for Free5GC, end-to-end Free5GC changes, ensuring all the changes are all the latest changes are picked by OAI with Sagar, and then the documentation release notes. So other than these 5 items, obviously, Rado, I think we need to enable those. Is that, can we, in this week, Rado, can we merge both of your PRs that you were suggesting, one to do the release and one to do the
Right.
doing
Yeah.
testing?
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Rado. So if you do that, if you do those 2 things from Rado and these things that I just listed, Wim and Tal, do you think that will give us a smoother passage to the release?
Yeah. Do we also have to give reports on security for
Yes,
LFN?
I think that is automatic, isn't it, Rado? That will
Yes, so
automatically.
we generate that, right? So all of us. So yeah, I was just seeing the checklist we ran them for R1. We should probably use the same, I guess, right?
Yeah.
I remember when we released R1, we said that for R2 we will do it better, but I think it's okay to do what we have right now, especially now that we have a SIG security. I think that those responsibilities can move there.
Yeah. And they improved, right? So they did 2 fixes to help with the comply with the security. So I know that because I reviewed those PRs. They actually added capabilities for the security compliance for LFN.
So is that in our main Nephew repo or?
Yes, so these are changes that even they did in PROW, I think, Rado, right? So or in the release, some of these changes were in the reporting and stuff like that we had to do for them. Right, Rado?
Well, I don't recall this particular change for a PROW change. You say for a.
It was PROW or something like that. Let me double check. Where is it? Nephew projects PR.
Maybe if it was for local PROW configuration that's in repo config, then it was just reviewed and merged by.
Oh, sorry, so this one is not PROW, so this is one of them. Add scorecard for OFSSS, this one. See, this was GitHub Workflows OpenSSF scorecard. So this is one of them they did. You see?
Right.
So this is one of the things from that LFN is requesting us, which was when we moved the project to LFN. So this was one of them, and there is a second one. So this we probably have to report, I think, but this is automatic in the meantime, from my understanding, right? So if you look to the changes that they did, they changed. It's not PROW. It's a job. It's a GitHub job, right?
Yes, that's.
This one we probably have to report upon,
yeah.
I guess, from an LFN perspective. And then there was a second one. Where is that one? I don't recall this. I don't think it's in this repo. I'll check with the security team what the second one was. But they did 2 changes to help with LFN security reporting. So this was one of them. There was a second one, but it was somewhere else. Okay, I'll ask the security guys about that. I don't recall automatically. And I'm
this
assuming
scorecard one, I remember I was involved in fixing it. Like there was a problem with Tide, the automatic merging component of Prow, because of the configuration of the repos. So I just kind of recall this PR, but the second one I don't really have
I will check. Yeah, I will
knowledge
check.
on it.
I'm not sure whether it's related to Proud, that one. That was another one. I think it's another one. I thought this one was related to that, but the other one, yeah.
Those both, I guess, are GitHub actions. So
Yes, yeah, they are both GitHub actions or something like that. So nothing major, but something that improves the reporting from an LFN perspective, right?
right, yeah.
Nothing major, basically, but. And I'm assuming because of the fact that we had to do that from an LFN point of view, we also have to use that information from LFN perspective, Bala. That's why I'm bringing them up.
Yeah. So we had to. Our commitment is we will constantly increase our OSS coverage for the security.
Yes. Yeah. Correct.
Every release. Okay. So Rado, from the security copyright perspective, did you see any red lights at all so far?
No, nothing came up when it comes to the automatic scans.
I think
just prior the release, I will run the manual one over the whole code base. But if something was there, it would definitely come out with this partial scans every PR.
Yeah. So Rado, probably this week let's get together. Maybe me and you. Maybe Thursday or something, if it works for you. Maybe for 30 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's make sure the PRs and the security things, let's go through together once before bringing anything up to the.
By the way, this is the second one, by the way. I just found it. Security policy 414. This is what, this was just update of
Yeah,
the
just
policy. There was a readme. This was the second one. Yeah. So this is the second one.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's important commitment. Those two things. The better coverage from the security standpoint we have. It's an improvement.
Correct. Yeah. This was just a policy that we were not having in place. So this is nothing new, Bala. I think the only change is probably the report that we have to.
Okay. So when from the documentation perspective, I know Sagar and Victor, Sagar said when working with Victor, he's coming out, he's going to come up with the documentation for OAI. So any of these changes that we did, is it going to change anything material documentation changes to Free5 GCVM?
So the only thing that I haven't looked at the documentation for a while, but we probably is in the.
I can think of one thing that will cause a change. So if we're moving to the new porch, actually, the command lines even change. We no longer use kept alpha to access porch. We use just the porch command, which is separated. So probably, at the very least, we need to review everything. But there'll probably be, I think, small changes, but we still need to do them.
Okay, review ops. Okay.
Yeah, so we probably.
I think Liam has been looking at documentation. We have not appointed Liam to be our documentation czar, but I don't know if he would want to do that. I
can say I wouldn't like to do that. No.
Well, we can divvy the work between us. I think I have here's what maybe we can do. I do think it's a good idea if one person reviews everything, because and at least takes notes about what needs to be fixed. You don't have to do all the fixes, but just to kind of show, oh, this file needs to be fixed, or this paragraph, or what the main issues are. Like, you can just create a bullet list, because I think there's an advantage of having one person do it, because everybody reads differently. So if it's good for one single reader, I think it could be more coherent and consistent. At least that's something that I find very important. Yeah, here we see all the kept alpha commands. So
this has to be changed.
Yeah, but to be honest, there is the other big issue. Like, I don't think we've tested with the new ports yet. I know that John put the new images in, but because we haven't been running end-to-end tests and people have been running just locally, I don't think anybody has really been testing the new port packages.
We have to check with Sagar. The only one who did is Sagar potentially, but I don't know whether he took ports as well. I was pushing him to take the latest Nephew. I don't know whether he also the latest ports. I don't know that.
It just occurred to me that the kept alpha commands would still work, I think, because it's the same API, but they're just being removed from kept, right? So yeah, we probably want to fix this anyway. And we need to make sure that we're installing the command line also and as part of our environment and instructions, etc.
My concern is if we are not testing with new porch already, if you are to introduce it now,
I agree.
Yeah.
It's very worrying. For me, this was a big top priority. I know John did heroic work to get everything set up. To be honest, it's the same code, right? It moved. He did do a few fixes, right? That he tested locally, and he thinks they're fixed. But we haven't done the integrated testing, right? With it, so especially the command lines and everything, making sure that works, because that's entirely new. The CLI utility. It sounds very trivial and simple, but until we test it, there might be, I don't know, tiny little bugs. So yeah, it's kind of last minute, but that's just the reality of where things were. I think we have plenty of time to do it. We just need to, as Wim said, be organized and actually do it. What I'm going to try to actually tear down my environment that has been running for months and rebuild it from scratch using everything right now. I think that would be beneficial for me, at least, to have a fresh environment, and I'll see how that goes. I don't know if other people want to do the same thing, just to make sure that we're completely on board with R2 and all the Git repositories and everything. So I don't know. That's up to anybody in specific. I can't tell everybody to do that. That could be a lot of work.
So Tal, the latest porch is in our repo, right?
Yeah.
Right. We have a repository called Porch, and that's where we build it and publish the images. I know that John already hooked it up, so it is publishing images as far as I know, automatically, I hope. But yeah, it's a new command line utility that we need to install too, and yeah, just test to make sure that everything works, right?
So
There are two things. One is just the command line utilities. The other thing is new porch itself, with because he has made some changes that will actually, for example, the callbacks, etc., or the looping of status checks. I think he was mentioning something, those things that need to change with the changes that he did. I think Wim knows this better. I think.
Yeah, John did some tests locally, but I don't know to what extent. The main question for me is, did Sagar use that image or not? So I don't know. I haven't tried the new
I think we may have to take a call on Wednesday whether if it is already being used or not. If it is not, if it is already being used, yes, that's good. That means
So I'll
use it for.
Yeah, I'll request that John join the SIG2 meeting. Hopefully he'll be able to join. And in any case, I just want to point out to all of us that we don't have to include porch. If for some reason we just can't get it in time, we can just use the existing images. That's also possible.
Can always do it.
I've been stepping through porch with with porch with the the demo you did a long time ago around porch. Tal, have just kind of stepping through that a little bit. So far, we'll use the porch control and use the new porch images, but it's just locally. I'm not testing the whole thing, but it seems to be pretty okay. And I found one or two small things.
Yeah, honestly, we're using the word new porch here. That's not exactly true. It's the same porch, just the code moved somewhere else.
The the clone of Porch, but the Porch control is, I guess, it's just a new command, but it's actually just the same as, instead of, it's almost like an alias. It's just tipped or alpha or package instead of Porch control. Yeah.
We can always, because in my view, the sooner we have this in, the better it will be, right? So if it's not in 2.0.0, we can always try to cut a 2.0.0, 2.0.1, right?
Yes.
Because I have the feeling the sooner people exercise that, the better it will be for all of us.
Yeah,
So
I added that to the list now.
I just included some comments in the chat. The latest change that I see in the package port is John update the version to 0.0.27. That's the Porch version that we are using. I'm not sure if it's the latest one or if we have more versions in the API. From the client side, we are using the 1.00 beta 3.8. That's the KPT CLI. So definitely, if there are new versions in both cases, we need to submit the change and start using them. But just an FYI, that's the version that we are using them.
The question is, what is the source of this image, right? Where did it come from?
That's a good one.
Another question. I don't know what the status of the Porch UI is, right? That's an open question for me, if it still works also with Porch. And we generally, as a community, we've been very hands-off with the UI. I think a lot of us even prefer not to use it. I know I never use it, but it's still part of our distribution, and at least we need to check that it works, right? We have had some people come in and offer to contribute to Nefio, and maybe people with skills in front end that said that they can work on it. That would be great. I think not too many of us have skills with front end. I have some background in it, but anyway, there's a much bigger question over the future of Porch and Nefio and what we're going to do with it and how much we want to invest in something like the UI. But let's leave that until after we do this release, and then we can discuss the future, in my opinion.
Okay.
All right. We have to drop, I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I got the list of items. I'm gonna convert those some of into issues, and probably this will be the topic for our Wednesday's meeting, Wim and all.
Yeah, let's add it. We can add it to the agenda already. Yeah. I'll add it.
Cool. Thank you. Okay,
All
have a
right.
good one. Take
Yes.
care. Okay, bye. Yeah.
Right.